Hello, this is Cryptolyze. I hope you are well. This Tuesday, October 10th, 2023, it is with pleasure that we meet today to talk about CRO, crypto, the CRONOS blockchain, and the Crypto.com exchange. As usual, we will square it in two parts. A fundamental part. We will come back to what Crypto.com is, what CRONOS is, their news, and then we will go to the price level to project price, medium, long-term on purchase prices, sale price, and it begins right away. When we talk about CRO, we have to talk about Crypto.com. Crypto.com is a very big exchange that has been talked about a lot, especially in the USA, with very, very aggressive advertising campaigns. When we talk about Crypto.com, we also have to talk about their credit card. We'll see that a little later. There was a lot of communication, particularly in 2021, around their credit card, and in 2022 also, in which there was a lot of promotion around this phenomenon. We're going to address it later. It was I think, the biggest scam which revolved around the CRO. I'll explain why. Scam wasn't necessarily the right term because it wasn't the case, but in any case, a lot of people felt scammed by what happened. So what is Crypto.com? It is a classic exchange in which we find absolutely everything to actually be able to purchase, resell, or transfer money through cryptocurrencies with an application that is considered of the best on the market. The application is really very well done in which you have access to everything. Next to it, Crypto.com offers returns on BTC and USDC depending on the number of CRO you stake. And this is where it is important, is that CRO has a really important role in the Crypto.com ecosystem because everything is used around CRO, where you have to globally stack CRO to be able to have access to real functionalities or, in any case, real returns. So historically we had these yields. Now we find ourselves with yields that are much lower. It was just here to show you the difference. We're just going to remove that because now it's the reality. And next to it, we have CRONOS. CRONOS, which is the blockchain which is powered by the CRO, which is a proof-of-stake blockchain, and in which, in fact, Crypto.com is built, and in which all transactions are structured. So CRONOS is a bit like the BNB chain for Binance. It's a bit like the idea that was given, except that we don't have it all the same ecosystem and not at all the same evolution. And you have to be careful about that because, like any public infrastructure blockchain, the goal will be to be able to attract developers to build decentralized applications and quite simply attract decentralized finance, transaction volumes, etc. Well, then it's a bit of a special case because it necessarily depends on Crypto.com, and therefore behind it CRONOS will, in any case, in all cases, exist because Crypto.com will exist. The two are intrinsically linked. Concretely, what is CRONOS? It is a public blockchain in which we can carry out centralized finance, NFT payments. It is something which is EVM compatible in which we have a purpose and transaction costs, which are very low. Therefore, something which is rather classic that we can find, but unfortunately in which we don't necessarily have a lot of ecosystem, at least for the moment. So we're going to talk about this blue card, which has attracted a lot of attention in the sense that historically we had enormous returns in CRO, and in which we had enormous advantages. Something that was almost divided by 3. And in which people had to block. In fact, we bought a lot of CRO to be able to have credit cards, to have cashback, which was very important, and above all advantages such as Spotify, Netflix, which were included. Directly, in fact, in it, in which we received the CRO rewards. The problem is that, let's say 4-5 months after the launch of the card, or even a tad less, they divided by 2 or even 3 directly the rewards which were given to people who had purchased of the CRO and stacked while the CRO had already been almost divided by, minus 30%, minus 40%. So there was a net loss on those who had used so many felt shortchanged compared to that, and Crypto.com suffered greatly from that. And through their communication, which was not necessarily extraordinary either. Next to the CRO, it is something which has a maximum supply of 30 billion. And in which we find ourselves in a dilution. Still, there is 25%, a little more than 25%, which are at an emission time, which are in fact classic in a proof-of-stake blockchain, in which we will have dilution to be able to simply finance the nodes. We are on a market cap which is already high, $15 billion because it is carried by Crypto.com. While on the other hand, we have a total value log which is relatively low. It is mainly a large part of the CRO which are stacked on the chain and in which we have very few commits, very little activity at the development level, but which is rather classic given that we are in a bear market and that it will resume directly when Crypto.com also resumes massive investments in it. which is at the same time logical because the two are directly linked and Crypto.com depends of the transaction volume on cryptocurrencies. So implied, as long as we have not left the bear market, CRONOS will not come out of its lair to be able to get out of the incentive or things like that, and the construction is slowed down, which is rather logical. We are going to finish in the fundamental part. We are going to attack the technical part, then technical part, which is really particular at the level of CRONOS, in which we had here a very nice accumulation, which was done with a break here. So we did indeed break the structure in this area, retest and then bullish acceleration with here the 22, November 2021, end of the bull run, and here overall the establishment of the map. And overall, we must understand that many people here bought CRO to be able to have the credit card and found themselves stuck. And so that's a bit of the problem with CRO. It's that we have a breakdown in confidence in the marketing incentives that were promised. At the level of Crypto.com, and I think that we will find these same economic incentives when we have a bull run which arrives, and therefore we will have to be very careful depending on what they offer us. However, technically we have a BSRST therefore, which is set up with a classic week-off distribution with a bearish box for the establishment of the sign of weakness, in which here we find ourselves in a big sign of weakness, which is very complicated to manage with a big psychologist who is located there. And then we have the installation of the accumulation of chests, which is here. Accumulation, which is not a good sign because we have here a lot which was set up during the entire FTX period on November and December 2022, in which we then had a valuation at the beginning of 2023, and then we bled and broke below FTX. We are really broken very low below FTX each time we still have big candles which are bought back, but that does not prevent us from having a reversal situation. We are no longer in a bearish continuity, which unfortunately continues as long as we do not have a rupture. A break is very simple. What we are going to expect would be, for example, here, a bullish acceleration to take this high there, construction of a lot which is built here, to then resume the high which is there, and therefore there we will have a reversal pattern in which we can say, okay, I have something which will ultimately be done like this, and therefore afterwards I will have new highs which will take the next ones and so on. As long as we don't have that, it implies that we are always in a phase of dilution and abandonment, which is at the same time classic. We remind you that the CRO is distributed in the form of rewards almost everywhere, at the level of the Crypto.com platform, and that therefore we will inevitably have a sellout which will take place because we have a crypto, which unfortunately is in a downward trend of dilution. So for me, you have to be very, very attentive, especially since you don't necessarily have big supports. I have support which is at 0.03, which is still really very far away, which would really be a very strong break in terms of the max supply, in which I think we should hold this support there, or in any case Crypto.com will ensure that we maintain this support there. And then we can project ourselves onto fairly aggressive bullish breakout zones, in which we will inevitably have large sellouts, therefore large zones in which we will have to be careful. First is here, obviously the break at the level of Celsius, where we have a lot of people who are still stuck with a CRO above 0.1, so inevitably there we will have a profit taking, or in any case a reduction in exposure. We will have everyone who is stuck with CRO above 0.35. So who are the ones who had the card in this case, or who still have the card? Besides, tell me in the comments if you still have the card, and if you use it, and which of the cards you have, because in terms of investment, it will still take a lot of time to be able to make this profitable. Investment there. And so for me, here we are going to have a big windy area. So here it's rather classic. And then we're going to project ourselves a little further, over the long term, in which we could say that we are in a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, and we could go for a goal of 1,618 with a 0 at $5. And why am I telling you that? Finally, why do I think rather? And why am I telling you now that I think that it will be complicated to really go above the 88th and go to 1,618 or exceed the 1,618? For me here, this will be the landing zone because when we look at the general market cap and in relation to the use of CRO, for me it will be really complicated. That is to say, we are really very ported on Crypto.com. CRONOS has very few applications, doesn't have many incentives yet. What will happen during the next bull run? Overall, we are going to return to the $1 that would give us a maximum IUA supply of almost 30 billion, which is already very important for overall. Not much. That is to say, we have few applications and we have Crypto.com, which uses it, so we will have a lot of marketing to push the CR to the highest. And therefore, I think we can go a little higher in evaluation at 45 minus 50 billion at the level of Crypto.com, but go much higher, it will be really very complicated. So there I think that there will perhaps be an aggressive policy to implement in place, even though I think that clearly Crypto.com has demonstrated Genius in terms of marketing. Are they going to be able to do the same thing on the next Brown, I think? Yes, so we will have a good valuation, but it is up to us to be able to profit from it quickly, and that is undercover. That Crypto.com are still surviving this bear market because we still have a bear market phase which can still be long and between 12 and 15 months. So obviously we will have to be patient and pay attention to the dilution of the CRO which risks arrive. And clearly there we don't have a reversal. As long as I don't have a reversal, I control my exposure. It's rather classic. I hope you like this video. If so, don't forget to leave me a like and a comment. It always makes me very happy. And I remind you that you have the educational course which is available for free, which is training of more than 60 hours, 130 videos, 400 pages of guides to teach you crypto, blockchain, trading, technical analysis, investment through videos, tests, everything to be able to progress. It's available for free if you get financed by our partner. Everything is in description and comment, and we'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. for the daily.